Hey guys, Shannon Eller from Both Sides of the Couch. I'm here today with one of my counselors, April Barnes. April is dually licensed as both a licensed professional counselor in LPC. She's also a licensed marriage and family therapist, LMFT. She didn't start out that way, so I want to give her an opportunity to introduce herself, tell you about her professional path and the children that she sees, the clients she sees here. April, say hello to the people.
Hi, my name's April Barnes, and I, as Shannon said, am dually licensed. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a marriage and family therapist, and I'm also working to becoming a certified play therapist, hopefully by the end of this year. So I work with a lot of kids and some teenagers, and a lot of the things that we deal with is trauma and anxiety. So I work with helping kids and teenagers learn different coping skills and ways to help regulate their emotions and learn different ways to express their emotions in a healthier way. And one of the great opportunities that I had here was being able to complete my internship while I was getting my master's at Walden University in mental health counseling. So I really appreciate Shannon for and the opportunity that she's given me to be able to work with such great populations.
And to be dually licensed from the beginning, would you have thought it was possible when you first started out? It seemed a long way away.
It really did.
So the fact that you deal with kids with trauma, play therapy and things like puppet play really works into that.
So
very
for the
well.
purpose of this blog, we're going to show you how to do a small puppet show.
And let me talk to you just a little bit about puppets. Puppets are really very gestalt. It's very much in the moment. It's very much now. It's very projective. Children can act out what's actually happening to them in their homes. And with our kids, we're not asking them to do a vacation Bible school or a Center for Puppetry Arts play or show. We're not asking for a professional production. All we're asking them to do is use the puppets as props to show what's happening inside themselves or in their experience. And at the end of this, April and I are going to do one of those for you, and you'll see very clearly it's a very, very simple process. The puppets are just used as props. I want to show you, we have a couple of things for you. This is puppet plays for grieving children, children that have experienced loss, trauma, death. We're going to have this up on the website under the blog so that if you're interested in this author's work, you can get some scripts to help you do the puppets. Most of the scripts that we use are from this book by Nancy Davis, Once Upon a Time, Therapeutic Stories That Heal. This is an excellent script work for puppet plays if you're looking for things to help you with that. This is for the book that we're going to do that particular puppet show from. Puppet therapy is the article that we're going to have an assessment process that if you're doing puppet work with a client, how do you then assess, treat, and diagnose and come up with that action plan on what you're going to be doing in counseling? So one of the things that I want to talk to you guys about puppets is that it's very much a response to a collective unconscious. People like puppets. That's why we have puppet stories. The whole is more than the sum of the parts. A family story is more than just any individual story. There's a collective story for the family. Our actions are driven by the need to meet our needs. Even if we're meeting them in the wrong way, even if we don't know how to make it happen, we want to meet our needs. We want to balance and integrate our inner selves. We want to be able to search for meaning. We want to be able to understand our experience. If we're living in chaotic and abusive homes, children don't understand why they're there and what's happening, so they want to find a way to understand it. The puppet's work can help you deconstruct their story, what's actually going on in their lives, and help them to construct and reconstruct a different meaning. So suggestions, indirect suggestions can be embedded if you're a counselor. This is a great workshop for you to incorporate into your practice so that you can also use puppets to help your children. If you're a client and you have a small child that you don't think can really tell the story, please understand we're going to have doll houses and puppets and sand trays and outdoor experiences and therapeutic applications and all kinds of different opportunities for art and music to help your child say the things that they need to say if the vocabulary is not there. It allows us to see the client's world from the worldview of the client and to identify what the interpersonal needs, assets, conflicts, hopes, strengths, pains, and fear are so we can go from there to something more helpful. So April and I, coming from the book by Nancy Davis, we're going to actually do the spider webs. And I want to introduce the puppets to you. If you're a counselor and you are trying to find puppets that will help you in your work, you want to have some puppets that look like families. You need to have a cross-cultural continuum. You want your clients to be able to find puppets that look like them. You want to have community helpers, like doctors and lawyers and postal workers and school teachers. We want to have animals, like the spider. The spider's pretty scary looking. Some animals are scary, some are nurturing. The clam, big eyes, can see everything. Shut the clam shell, doesn't see too much. And the dragon. So this is a very, very simplistic approach that April and I will do. I'm going to read it while April acts it out. This story talks about a little girl named Amy. Have you found Amy, April? Look, there's Amy. And Amy's being physically abused by an offender, which is characterized by our dragon. So, and it's to help children that are doing that to find out this is not just an experience that's just theirs, and it's also not something that cannot be made better. I never tell my clients it's going to all be all right. It can certainly be better. So this is called the spider webs. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Amy, and she lived in a big house. And in that house were spider webs, and they hung everywhere, from doors and windows, under the stairs, above the beds. They wound through the house because one of the members of the house was a monster. The monster was especially mean and hurtful, and he was not concerned at all about the pain he caused other members of the house, especially Amy. Now, he does more than that. Yeah, the spider webs were not her first choice. She tried them in desperation when she had no success with other techniques. Amy took the spider webs, she wrapped them around her eyes, and she stuffed them in her ears, and she wrapped them around her heart, and she wrapped them around her mind. And the spider webs began to lessen her pain and fear in a very unusual way. They changed her eyes so when she looked, she couldn't see. And her ears, when she listened, she couldn't hear. And her mind, so when she thought, she didn't understand. And the spider webs gave her the ability to say no. When people said, "Does living with a monster scare you?" And the spider webs helped her to say no. Why would I be afraid? Because after all, I'll help you with some of them. He is a very nice monster, which of course was not the truth. Amy's friends would say, "I heard your monster growling and hitting you." And Amy would say, "Oh no, the monster never hits me. I don't remember that." And her cousin would say, "I heard you crying your little self to sleep." And Amy says, "You must be mistaken. I never cry myself to sleep." One day, some of her friends were visiting Amy on a day when the monster was in a very bad mood. The monster tore up her school books and tore up her homework and said mean and cruel things and hurt her in other ways. And Amy's friends were amazed and they were afraid because they didn't have a monster living in their home. "Aren't you angry at this monster?" one friend said. "How dare the monster treat you like that?" another friend said. But because the spider webs were wrapped so tightly around her head and her eyes and her ears and her mind, she said, "Oh no, he's a very nice monster. It wasn't all that bad." When Amy went to school the next day, the teacher noticed that her homework was destroyed and her book bag was torn up, and there were signs the monster had been attacking her again. And the teacher was concerned as she sat down with Amy. She said, "What is happening with you? Tell me about this monster. What is it like to live with a monster?" And Amy said, "I love the monster. He never hurts me in any way." Now, those people who loved Amy became more and more distressed and afraid for her. And even though she continued to maintain that the monster was nice, the signs that the monster was not nice were very clear to those who did not have spider webs all over their head and their mind and their heart and their eyes and their ears. And so the teacher and Amy's friends, the ones that loved Amy, they settled on a plan. They entered her house and they hid a video camera. And they made sure the camera recorded the way the monster was treating Amy. And her friends came back, got the video camera and the tape, and took it to Amy's school. The teacher, the counselor, and Amy's friends set her in a room with a big screen, and they began to play the tape of the monster hitting her and watching the monster being very mean and cruel to her. And the teacher said, "How is this monster acting?" And the people in the room were not surprised at all when Amy continued to maintain, "He's acting fine. He's a very nice monster." And the teacher said, "You know what? It is time that we vacuum these spider webs away from your mind and your ears and your eyes and your heart. If the spider webs had not been allowed to hang around in your house, you would have never gotten so tangled up in them." At the thought of losing the protection of the spider webs, Amy began to cry. "Please don't take away my spider webs. They take away my pain." But the teacher knew better. "Those spider webs are keeping you in danger. We have to destroy them. We can find a way to get rid of your pain instead of hiding it." And the teacher began to vacuum the spider webs out of her eyes and out of her ears and out of her heart, out of her mind and out of her feelings. And it was hard at first because the spider webs really did not want to go. The spider webs had been entangled in so many ways in all parts of her, but the teacher was determined. She kept vacuuming and vacuuming, and one by one the spider webs said, "Let her go, set her free." The teacher rewound the video of the monster and played it again, talking to Amy as she watched. "You see, this monster is very cruel to you, and you don't deserve to have anyone treat you like that. No one deserves to be treated this way. See with your eyes, understand with your mind, feel with your heart, hear with your ears, now that you don't have spider webs. Listen to the monster's word with ears that can hear. Use your mind to think about how we can get you away from this monster, and you won't have to hide your feelings." Amy watched the tape with new eyes and new understanding, and feelings that had been buried within her for a very long time came up in a strong, powerful way. She felt anger, a feeling of power, and understanding she did not deserve to be treated this way by anyone, especially someone who lived in her own home. And some of the people who lived in Amy's home weren't able to see, even though they had big eyes, because if you look and watch with Miss April, why could they not see? Because they kept their eyes closed and they stayed in their shell. The more Amy watched, the more her anger grew, till she found words to talk about all the things that happened as she lived with the monster. Amy began to see all the scenes in her mind that caused her such pain. She put scenes into words. Amy had not talked about her pain for such a long time. She talked and talked and told and told, and as she told, her pain began to become less. Amy was free of those spider webs. She was able to help find ways to make sure that the monster never hurt her again. One night, after the monster was gone, and Amy felt very safe, she sat on her little bed and she thought about everything she learned. She learned about monsters, and she learned about telling, and she learned that friends and teachers can help you even when you don't know that you need to be helped. Most of all, she learned that spider webs do not get her out of the pain. They just tie it up in a great big knot. And one of the techniques that you can use that we found very effective, you can start like this and do the puppet story yourself with an issue that you think your little client is facing, and let them listen and just come very carefully, very gently into the discussion. Possibly the next session, you can have your client choose a similar story and read it to you and act it out. And as you go forward, it becomes easier and easier and easier for your clients to begin to talk about their own unique experiences, you to understand what their living experience is like, and start crafting a plan to help. As a counselor, this is a great technique. If you're a client, please understand that we're going to be there for your children, adolescents, small children, or yourself, to help you in ways that will be easy for you to approach the problems. So we appreciate you watching this blog. Again, it's from both sides of the couch. This is Puppets with April Barnes. Call and ask for April, guys. Thank you for being with us.